So it will be running for 8 weeks, up to your week next to the election. And we are covering election topics. So last week we cover election, where you actually need to vote. So I don't want to tell you what will be happening next week, but Catches Live said the second week on Tuesday, 7 to 8, the third week on Wednesday, 7 to 8, the fourth week on Thursday, 7 to 8. So, yeah, 7 to 8 a.m. So Tuesday is a date, eh?
It's a date. Participation in good governance and policy making. Thank you for joining Badili Africa today. I'm the most quiet and I love sharing silence. Quiet.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm also from Hansfield Foundation. I think she has presented what it is about, so there's no need for me to repeat myself.
Okay, interesting.
Something interesting about me, I'm a professional makeup artist. I think that's interesting.
Hi everyone. Hello. My name is Elsie Milimu. I am from Crew Kenya. And we do a lot, but we also do women leadership and participation, but also programs around eradicating GBV, economic empowerment, and etc. The interesting thing about me, I feel like that is something someone else should say. I hate ironing.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zipporah Abaki. I work for Electoral Law and Governance Institute. We work on issues of elections, especially providing technical assistance to election bodies, EMB bodies. And Marjorie here will tell you something interesting about me.
Laura will make you go for a walk, and then she starts complaining that the distance is too far. My name is Marjorie Kivure. I work for Uraia Trust, and Uraia Trust has been known as the National Center for Running Civic Education Programs. So we provide quality, gender-responsive civic education in the country, and I specifically work with civic engagement pillar. Thank you. For something about myself, for the longest time, I never ate avocados, and then when I discovered that I literally plant trees nowadays.
I'm Jambo. I am Wilbert Makori. I'm also from Uraia Trust. And we do much more of civic education. And maybe one thing that I can say is interesting about me is my voice, probably, given my height. So yeah.
Hello everyone. My name is Kamande John. I'm also from Uraia Trust. As it has been said, we do voter education and civic education generally. Something interesting about me is that I eat a lot, although I don't look like it.
With Alive Kenya. At With Alive Kenya, we work around good governance. That is, we build the capacity of the young people in the young organizations we work with around good governance, human rights, economic empowerment. Yeah, and I know Purity will say something more. Something interesting about me is I love numbers and I adore them.
Hi everyone. My name is Purity Jobor and I'm from Youth Alive Kenya. So just to add on what Wahoo has shared, we work with youth organizations in the country, currently in 12 counties, and good governance is one of our thematic pillars. We have livelihoods, we understand social well-being and equity. And we also work with grassroots women. But specifically on election, what we are currently doing, we are conducting civic education through arts. And something special about me, I love laughing a lot.
Hi everyone, my name is Stella. I work for Mexico. Our program works around promoting peace during this electoral period. Something interesting about myself is
our main agenda is to go look for them, bring them into politics and good governance. So something interesting about me is if you invite me for food, I'll never say no. But if you want to compromise me, give me tea. So that's all.
From Mathare, I'm an activist, I'm a feminist. What we do basically is promote feminism and fighting for the rights of women, politically, socially, and economically.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jakiwa. I work in Nairobi as a civics educator in the umbrella of Uraia. I'm living in Mathare, or you can call Lower Mutaiga. We are impacting on voice citizens to have voice so that they engage effectively with their governments. What a unique thing about me is just I'm a multi-purpose human resource who deal with human nature. Thank you and feel at home.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gladys Nzisa. I'm a feminist. I advocate for women empowerment. I work at the Youth Agenda, where we work on inclusivity, empowerment of youth, leadership and governance, and yeah, we mostly do youth work and social empowerment, political empowerment. Thank you. Something interesting about me. I also hate house chores, like my friend here. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Kwa majina naitwa Robert Wilson Mandela, mzaliwa South Africa, lakini mkazi wa Kenya. So I work for the largest civic initiative forum, and we focus on projects on civic mambo ya education, basic education, ECD, and governance. Under governance, especially during the electionary period, our focus is on increasing the participation of the special interest group in the coming election. Something unique about me, I mean, into Arumba.
What I think what is interesting about me is the connection I have with my dad. I love him so much. The moment we see each other, we just cry.
Naitwa Jane Mwironi. Mimi ni mkaaji wa Kawangware. Si Kawangware ile ya huko juu, ni ile iko hapo karibu na Lavington. Badila Africa na organizations zingine kule Dagoretti North, na ndio maana wakaita Chama Women. Kwa hivyo na ndio nao Chama Women kuwaleta ndio mupate kazi ya kufanya. Ile kitu yenye napendezwa nayo ile I like interesting about me. Napenda kushare skills na wamama wale wako chini, sio wale wako juu. Wale wako chini ndio wakuje juu. Azin nafanyanga skills za kama kwa sababu mimi nafundisha wamama kupika cakes, kupika mikate, you name it, vitu mingi. So hapo ndipo jena hapo.
Good evening. Naitwa Mufasa. I am a performance poet. As a poet, I hope my work inspires a generation of young people who are aware of the environment and work towards its development. Interesting about me, napenda chapo. Na vile napenda hii chapo, nikienda kwa hoteli, muuliza kama naweza pata ile inatoka kwa moto saa hizo. Kama hakuna naishia, nataka ile inatoka tuko pan saa hizo.
Bwana Yesu asifiwe, ladies and gentlemen. Naitwa Joseph Waga ama mwana wa Daudi na nafanya na Badili Africa, and in simple terms tunafanya like we are just feminizing the political spaces pale mtaani, and I come from Mathare. Wetu mzee akiwa ametuambia Loa Muthaiga. Something interesting about me ni napenda kuempower young ladies, mademu wadogo wakuje hapo tupatane huku juu. Lakini msisahau jamani, tukiwa empower hao wanaume pia tuwafundishe kuishi nao mademu wako empowered. Thank you very much.
Naitwa Naomi Barasa. Mimi ni consultant. I'm an independent consultant. I live out of Nairobi. Sisi ni wale tunaambiwa kwa heri Nairobi every evening and karibu Nairobi every morning. Every time I'm asked to say something interesting about myself, I don't know, but let me try. I hope this will be. Is it interesting or unique?
Unique, interesting.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. You are confused because I'm already confused. But if I try to fetch kwa nini yangu something unique, and I don't know if it's so unique, but what I consider unique is that I have worked with 2 female presidents directly in programming. 2 female presidents. Yes. Which president? Salif Johnson? Of where?
Liberia.
Okay, yes. And Mary Robinson. Of where? Of Ireland. She's former president now. She is no longer in office, but when I was working with her, she was president for Ireland. Thank you.
Wow.
Advocacy and Awareness Trust. Also NWSC, which is the National Women's Steering Committee. What we do a lot of political advocacy, especially on the 2 gender principle. We also do socio-economic empowerment with different stakeholders, disseminating evidence that works for women economic empowerment, conferences and stuff. And also we do climate justice, looking at gender and climate change vulnerability, and also networking and alliance building. What is unique about me? Maybe I watch Korean dramas. I can watch with subtitles, and it's like I'm just listening in English.
I'm a director with Advocacy Africa. I'm a sitting member of the IEC Youth Coordination Committee as the Communications and Digital Engagement Officer. Maureen here is my colleague. She's our secretary. What else? Something incredible about me.
Yeah.
I love kids. Because their innocence and naivety kind of provokes my happiness. Yeah.
Political all that. Something unique about me, I am a feminist. I love advocating for women, but specifically adolescent girls. Thank you.
African. I love racing and taking risks.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Helen Joki from Badili Africa. I think everyone has talked about what we do. Something interesting about me is that I love Githeri.
She didn't introduce herself.
Good evening, guys. My name is Maureen. I'm Muhinda. I serve at Badili, Africa, and something.
Across the table. Hey, that table. You know, literally, I think when Joanna, either that or Nelson really wanted to high five Lillian because the way they are stretched across the table. I'm like, this Nelson, so they trouble. You know, like this high five, like, you know. My name is Bina Marcelo. I serve at Badili Africa. Thank you so much for creating time to come here. And I'm saying that because for anyone who's in this room, it's a very hectic time because you're dealing with the elections. So I know, and even when we were sending emails,
we were wondering whether we'd have you guys. And I know if we did this during the day, even Elsie is smiling, because during the day maybe she wouldn't even have made it here. So thank you so much for creating time on a Friday when you probably should be home resting or working tomorrow to be here with us. I'll quickly just say what Badili does. And then Maureen can run us through what we've been doing, and hopefully we can catalyze conversations and collaborations today, because again, even just going to the comments that, I'm forgetting Ken's name, the comment that Ken made about elections and voter apathy. I mean, there's no one organization that can bring about the change that we all desire, right? Even the results we are hoping to achieve, I mean, like, we have to do it together. So at Badili Africa, we work with Chama women, we work with Nyumba Kumi leaders, we work with women who also organize in church, and we also work with young women in universities and urban informal settlement. Our strategies in the university in terms of engaging young women, we use fashion, beauty, and makeup. And the reason we use that is because we don't want to speak to people who are already converted. We used to have democracy dialogues and civic dialogues, and we realized that people who are coming to those sessions are people who are doing political science and IR. But also more importantly, we are pushing back the narrative that you have to look a certain way and show up a certain way to be heard. You know, at times even when you're called to a session like this, you're probably going to a wardrobe to figure out what do I wear to that session. You know, and if you always wear crop tops, just because it's a civic or a democracy conversation, you feel like I don't fit in because I wear a crop top. But then our target audience are very expressive. And if you see how young women are expressing themselves on Instagram itself, on Snapchat, you'll understand why we use those strategies. Again, for our Chama women, and I hope at some point in this conversation we'll have Naomi reflect on the work that we've been doing. It's been an honor to have Naomi just support our work as a consultant. I think she did say she's a consultant. It's been just amazing to have her facilitate, but also just sit back and then we think through how do we take this conversation to the next level. The Chama women we work with currently are being targeted by politicians in a big way to do door-to-door work for them. And it concerns us because you find that one Chama woman has a huge following of like 200 people. Jane here can fill a hall like this alone. She's one of our key mobilizers in Kawangware. Because of the many groups she's in, and she's also in Nyumba Kumi, because also we work with Nyumba Kumi leaders. So if Jane does not perhaps, and I'm using Jane as an example, if Jane today does not understand her role in influencing good governance and she has access to like 500 women, then we have a problem, right? We have a problem because if she's using these women to negotiate for her financial well-being, then what are the other women benefiting? And it's okay. You know, I think right now we have to get to a level where we are discussing, okay, come on, it's pesa basi, basi pesa mzuri, sivyo? Basi pesa mzuri, because if you're asking, you know, if a politician is giving you money for school fees and then you're selling 500 women, I mean, then you should have even asked for 5 million or 1 million, because the money an MP gets across 5 years, I think Ken can even give us the math. Is it about what? How much does an MP make across 5 years? How much do they make in 1 month? What is an MP's salary in a month? 1.2. So let's say a million. A million times 12 months, that's 12, right? 12 million. 12 million times 5, that's 60 million at the bare minimum, right? Because we've actually spoken about the other allowances. So if you're making 60 million, and that's the conversation we're even beginning to have. If this person is making 60 million, and because of 40,000, umuza mama sultana. I mean, even if you ask for 1 million, ato ungepatiezi chama. Literally, you'd have spread that money, na ungesaidia watu wengi. So for us, we're very concerned in terms of raising the quality of conversation Nyumba Kumi leaders are having, women guild leaders are having, and Chama women are having with their leaders, because we don't have the followership that they have at the community. I like one thing that Naomi said one time. She said, We invest so much in leadership, which is fine, but we have a very weak followership. Most of these people that we are working with, even when I was running for office, should I have won, the people at the community, do they even have the capacity to hold me accountable after I have won? Your capacity for me. Do they have that capacity? Because it doesn't make sense if I win, and Jane here can't access me, Jane here doesn't even know where to start with helping me, holding me accountable. We had a meeting, I think, that brought together, again, community leaders organizing in Chamas, Mbakumi. And I remember your session, the woman who was mobilizing for senator, and the reason she's mobilizing for this senator, Nicosa Babu, promised bursary as senator. That's why she's mobilizing heavily for this senator. She's like, this senator, promised bursary for my kids. So even just not understanding the rules. And that particular woman is from Embakasi, is it Embakasi Central or Embakasi West? Oh, I'll go from Embakasi Central. She's one of the women, by the way, even her capacity even goes beyond mobilizing people. Her capacity is even in mobilizing also goons for violence. So her ni multipurpose kama Jakiwa. When unataka ukitaka goons, ukitaka watu, her is multipurpose at the community. But look at her reasons for mobilizing. She's mobilizing for this senator because they promised bursary. And then now when this senator wins, and you go to him or his people, then wanakwambia, but mama umekuja hapa kufanya nini? Anasema nimekuja kutafuta bursary, but manake senator alinipromise hata alikuwa amekuja kwa nyumba yangu. And you guys have seen these leaders going to women's homes, right? Then what will the office of the senator tell you? Go to the office of the MP. An MP, maybe you should have actually just focused on the MP and the quality of the MPO, actually, who's going to occupy the office in your constituency. So I think for me, there's so much work to do. Like there's really so much work to do, even as I reflect on our conversations last week in the universities we've been in, with young women who are saying, I don't think the campaigns, someone said, I don't feel these campaigns. I don't feel these campaigns because maybe I don't fuel. I don't know how much my parents spend on mafuta ya mboga. And on the weekends, when I'm at my boyfriend's, I have never asked my boyfriend how much he spends on buying mafuta ya mboga. So how does corruption affect me? So a young woman, these young women were on a table. 4 had registered to vote. No, 3 had registered, 4 had not registered. And we're just trying to find out why. This was a glam session we were having at the university level. And so when someone just said that, I was wondering, the campaigns we are doing, you know when you talk about kazi, hakuna kazi, hakuna kazi. Mtu wako first year atafti kazi, sio? So anashinda unamshu, you get, mtu wako first year, anashinda unamwambia nini? You know, some chick told Kerubo, and I think, John, this is the example Kerubo left with from our glam session. She asked this girl, why did you register to vote? And her response was, I am a third party when it comes to politics affecting me. So, that's why she said, I am a third party. Akamwambia, what do you mean you're a third party? Akasema, university, nikimaliza shule, nitaangalia ni kiongozi mgani nitajisaidia nipate kazi. She's not a registered voter. So the disconnect in terms of what role can they play right now? How does politics affect that person who's not looking for a job? And that's why we're here to have those conversations today, to understand how can we collaborate, how do we combine efforts even as we develop messaging for the diverse people that we are trying to target in terms of reducing voter apathy in the community. So thank you so much for creating time. I'll invite Maureen to take us through, and then we open it up to the floor and get to know each and every one of us what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bina. Let's clap better for Bina. Maybe I could jump in and maybe poetry. Right? You want to do us, something. Right? Yes. kama mheshimiwa, be prepared all the time.
Okay. As a poet, in this era of social media, written for the likes. And I have written when I hated myself. I called an ambulance on myself. And poetry is the surgery that keeps saving me. I stay writing, so I don't need a comeback from. This is my drug. I trust it. I've seen drugs drag people to places they couldn't come back from. I have left art every time I have performed, proof that I cannot always be grounded. I'm not the reason my mother is a grandmother. I'm the man who breaks stances by their spine until they can't take me anywhere. I know more about vapor than just the science taught me in school. I have taken friendships to a boiling point and watched them evaporate. To a sky that has witnessed what I've seen. I've seen people with hands that couldn't stop shaking. I've had the noises of solid voices seeking an uprising. That's why I don't freestyle. My voice is not light, it is weighty. I can't freestyle, my tongue is heavy. Not how they make jokes about my high notes, but seriously, this voice is open doors and broken walls. I still have the change from the time I said poetry. I've got the memory stored like a wildfire, and the waters in the kitchen, because I'm a chef. I cook metaphors. I serve buns, intents, and that's intended. Before Jesus comes on the shortcoming of bread, before there was the last airbender, I mastered the Tai Chi. This is Kung Fu, I kick fools. Only speaking, I'm scripting a body poet with my drafts in a heartbeat. My heart beats to voice the testament of my future squarely like an old Bible. I'm not Moses with the staff. I'm a God poet with the pen. I can make toxic relationships. I'm beautiful. I'm the magician with the pen. Oozing words that dance like magic. Magic might be my name. But if only my thoughts could shape my reality, I would free the consciousness of this country from political prison. It's a country for old men because they're sleeping in our youth. If only I could start writing poems and use my pen to color the clouds of citizen satisfaction to darkness, maybe it would bring revolution. Maybe light can only come after darkness. Maybe only mind revolutions can bar the surface revolutions. A poet's spot means nothing if police brutality is immortal. Sometimes when I write, and I aim right, I leave pages smelling like gunpowder. The stage is how you kill a poem, except my boys are dying for real. No imagery, no dramatic effect. That's the drama that affects our nation. For as long as young people choose to ignore the repercussions of bad politics, the future will never be in our hands. What we will continue to have is a phone with features.
That is what we are currently doing. So I'm just going to run us through what the different activities that you're doing, and the laptop has refused. I can't open up PPT, guys. That's a sign that I shouldn't be opening PPTs on my phone. Start from there. Anyway, so the program in full is called the Kenya Election Conflicts and Mitigation, Civic Stroke Education Support, supported by the good people from America, under the ACT Consortium, under URAIA. And for us, these are the general objectives of essence, and the ones that are related in red are the specific objectives that we are contributing to, and that is promotion of inclusive civil society, youth and women-led voter-stroke civic education, and also enhanced participation of youth and women in other democratic processes, pre and post general elections. So about our project now, the project that we are doing under the program, we are merging beauty with civic dialogues to enhance young women and Chama women engagement in political and electoral processes. So in this program, we are majorly targeting young women in universities. And as I mentioned before, we are in Nairobi University, Technical University, and JKUAT. And in the community, we are implementing in Dagoretti North, Mathare, and Embakasi Central. So this basically our targets, as I mentioned earlier. We have the lovely Jane and Paris. These are our Chama women. We have this other cohort that we call them the Generation Z. These people who are always on their phone. And then we have the millennials, and we have young women, the ones, the champions in the universities, and also we have the young women from the urban informal settlement. So pale mtaani, we do too. We engage Chama women and we also engage young women. So we have two engagements in mtaani. So ideally, we are looking to increase the voter turnout of young women in institutions of higher learning and urban informal settlements. We also are looking to increase the participation of special interest groups that are organizing in Chamas, and also get to leverage the power of social media and digital media platforms to enhance these engagements. And we do this by having frequent lives, that is on IG, on Twitter, and get to have chats and sort of just tap to these cohorts that we are looking to work with. So as I had mentioned earlier, we use strategies such as political dialogues, and when we get into the universities, we use the GLAB stations as an entrance into the universities, so we get to have the dialogues and then go into the GLAB stations. And I think at this point I'm going to put one civic champion on spot to just sort of give us a background on what has happened in the institutions of higher learning, and and what they learned, and how the engagement went on. They're all not looking at me right now. But I'm speaker. Actually, Champi is the speaker of it's Satuk, right? Yes, at school.
The speaker of my school's congress. I'm also a verified voter educator. Voter education, yes. I do voter education, courtesy of Badili Africa, and also got the chance to be in the Train of Trainers program for IEBC in the Kenya School of Government. So we had our event in the ESS program. My colleagues are Betty and Boniface, you can just wave. Our event went on well, we had our assistants there, and the main thing, the main theme of our event was to just ensure that kama uko na kura na umekaa hapo unaenda kupiga kura, because for us we had politicians calling us to mobilize people to get their votes. We did that, but then in that process it was like, please enda tuchukue hiyo kura. They got it, but now the biggest problem was that yes, niko na kura, but I'm not sure why should I do the vote, sisi kama naenda kupanga line and such things. But when Badili Africa came and we had our program on that day, we had a very interactive session with the youth in my school. They gave their opinions. They had Mushemi was also there. Mushemi, yes, Mushemi was the one that was sent from IEBC. He presented it so well that there was no doubt in anyone's mind that their vote was not going to waste, and indeed their vote counts. And what made us happy even the most is that girls turned up for this event. And it wasn't just about the GLAM session. They were genuinely interested in politics. And for the first time, the girls weren't even afraid to raise their hands and just air out their views, express themselves in whatever language, English or Kiswahili they felt like. And it was just a great session. We danced and all that day. We ate well. We said comrades must enjoy it. So yes, so the whole event was very beneficial, and it was the first one that we had, and the three of us are still continuing with the same program, although now it's not a major thing. Sizing ile comrade to comrade, able to just continue with the sensitization. Thank you.
Comrades, viva! Viva! On that note also, I'd like to invite also Jane. Maybe you can also just share your experience and you know, how it went in the community.
Good evening once more. Yangu ni Chama. Haleluya. Tulikuwa na mkutano yetu huko Kawangware na we were about 77 participants. It was well represented kwa sababu kulikuwa na wamama ambao walikuwa na disability pale, kulikuwa na wamama single mothers, kulikuwa na wamama ambao wako married wako na mabwana, kulikuwa na wamama wako na nini tena? Hiyo anything that unaweza fikiria kuhusu mama fulani, wote walikuwa pale, kwa sababu kulikuwa pia na wale walikuwa wanajisikia kidogo, kwa sababu kule ni informal settlement. Kwa hivyo kuna wengine tulipush kidogo wakatoka pande ya Kilimanjaro, na mmoja nakumbuka alikuwa ametoka kuna Kilimanjaro, alafu kuna Kilimani, lakini kwa Kilimani hakumalizia hiyo session, ni kama alikuwa anakimbia kwa sababu ya shughuli zake, kwa sababu hao ni watu wako na mambo mengi. Lakini sisi tukiwa informal settlement tulikaa mpaka tukamaliza session yetu, kwa sababu we didn't need to hear what Badile Africa had for us. Na wamama walifurahikia sana kujua wako na uwezo wa kupandilisha then to change ile hali ya kuvote. Si lazima uvotie mtu kwa sababu amekupatia kakitu. Hata tulijiambia wacha walete hizo vitu, tutakula lakini tutavotia yule mwenye tunajua anaweza pandilisha life yetu. Bwana asifiwe. Tulisema form ni kuvote, kwa sababu wengine hawaendagi kuvote kulingana na ile maswali zenye tulikuwa tunawauliza, sababu mimi nilikuwa facilitator so nilikuwa kwa session ya kuwauliza maswali, nikawa nawauliza ni wangapi walivote ile ilipita the last time walivote, lakini si wote walivote. So kuna mikono ilikuwa chini, kuna ingine ilikuwa juu, kumaanisha ni lazima tufanye jambo ndio 100% ya women wenye walikuwa pale na wenye tulikuwa tumewacha nyuma waweze kuvote this time round, kwa sababu sisi wamama tulijua ya kwamba tunaumia sana, kwa sababu hatuvotii wale wetu wenye tunataka, wale wenye wanaangalia maslahi yetu. Tunavote mtu kwa sababu amekuja, kama ni tarehe 9 tunavote, wanakuja tarehe 9, tarehe 8 usiku na mapando saunga. Tulisema hiyo wacha walete, lakini tutaingiza yule mwenye tunajua atatushughulikia mambo yetu. Kama ni mambo na maternity, ni wamama huwa wanaumia, wazee hawazai. Kwa hivyo tulijua hata kama hatujainuka sana this time, tuingize hata mama akuwe MCA ama akuwe MP. Sasa tutakuwa tumechanuka. The next 5 years itakuwa ni kuanzia saa hii Morin ni kukimbizana na hao mama, tuwakumbushe kwamba we need somebody mwenye ataingia pale na awe anaweka mikakati ya prioritize our needs kama ya mama. Mama akiwa pale kwa parliament ataweza kuongea kitu kuhusu hospitali haina madawa na watu wasikie, wale wengine wasikie, kwa sababu mama ndiye atakuwa anajua kama akipeleka mtoto hakuna madawa kwa hospitali ni nani atasapa. Huyo mama hataweza kwenda kwa kipande yake kuuza mboga kwa sababu mtoto wake ni mgonjwa na anakunywa tu Panadol over the counter dawas, kwa sababu kwa hospitali zetu hakuna. Tukajua mama akiwa kwa parliament wataweza kuweka mikakati, kwa sababu ya hata maji ikuje, hata kama jina kwa nyumba ya mabati. Hiyo nyumba ya mabati si ati inaweza zuia tapu ikuje ndani. Ni kweli ama si kweli? So mama akiwa pale na aseme priority yetu ni maji na wakule wengi, kwa sababu the point here ni tuingize wamama wengi kwa parliament. Wakiwa wengi watakubaliana na hiyo kitu itakuwa. Ukiwa na maji pale karibu, mimi kama Jane nitaweza kuchota maji haraka niingize kwa nyumba, ama hata ikiwa hapo ndani kwa tapu nitafanya vitu zangu haraka haraka. Kama ni kufua nguo, nitafua nguo, nipeleke mtoto wangu shule na nirudi kufanya vitu zingine after that, kwa sababu amenichagua MCA na niende kwa parliament na hiyo maneno ikuwe sawa. Kwa hivyo ule Kawangware Dagoretino tumekubaliana na wamama kwamba tutaenda kuvote na next time tuta make sure wamama wengi wameingia parliament. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa.
The women kwa society yetu, sababu tunajua vizuri sana vijana wanaleta vurugu, si ndio? Na ni hao wanatumika vibaya, na wanatumika vibaya sababu wajui ni nini wanataka, na hao ndio wanalia tunataka change, lakini hawajui bado ile change ni nini. Sasa so kulikuwa na kamwanya fulani hawako wanajua, but sababu ya Badili Africa kuleta program kama hii ifike pale mtaani ili tusaidie sisi wote na tusaidie kupata ile change tunahitaji, ili tusaidia sana wale vijana. Hata tulilotice hawasomangi katiba. Sasa like wako mtu anaenda kuuliza MC, anaenda kuuliza chief story ya basari, mtu anafanya like zinakaa tu vitu fani kidogo hivi, but at least walipata some information out of the session yenye iliwafurahisha na iliwabamba sana. Tulikuwa na sessions mbili, one for the women and one for the youths. Na youth walienjoy sana sababu hata kwanza turnout ya youth ilikuwa juu kidogo, na walikuwa wanataka ile session, walikuwa wanaion for that thing, like we need this thing at our own ground level, tujue nini inaendelea pale juu kabla tujafika pale, sababu wengi wao wako na kura lakini ni kura tujui zinaenda wapi, hawajui zinaenda wapi. Sababu kama hata tukiangalia story za kuvote pale before, hao ndio watu wanapiga na debe teke, si ndio? Watu wanasawia debe, tukipiga teke ule jamaa tutaki akona advantage mingi sana, si ule mwenye alikuwa ndiye tutaki na tumeshapiga debe teke, so ule jamaa ndiye atabaki tu, si ndio? So like it's all our initiative kushughulika na kumake sure tumefika mahali tunataka, lakini pia kuna responsibilities zenye inakuja nayo. Sasa so like you have to know what you need, but before you know what you want, jua kwanza what it will take you to get whatever you want. Na hiyo ndio mwanya iko pale mtaani. Tunasoma katiba, maybe tunawapea katiba wanasoma, lakini hawajui responsibilities zao. Thank you very much Mr. Jakiwa, pia aliwa highlight ya hizo, and ikakuwa rahisi sana pale kwa community yetu ya Mathare, wale vijana ku link up, wale wamama ku link up na kujua ni nini inahitajika, ni nini inafaa kufanyika, ndio jambo ifanyike na ikuwe right for the change that tunahitaji. Kwa hayo machache nitasema thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Waga. So those are just some experiences that we had in the communities and in the university spaces. And moving on, we are going to have engagements on Raia. The next phase of the whole program is going to the dialogues, that is Raia Dialogues, and it's social vetting, whereby we're going to hold the various leaders that have are going for the different seats in those communities. We are going to bring them back to the community so that the champions that we have worked with and the women that we have worked with before get a chance to sort of interrogate them and get to also interrogate their manifestos. So so far we have 20 trained civic champions that we are working with, and who we have deployed for different activities in the field. And we have, as mentioned earlier, conducted the dialogues in Jakwach, UN, Chuk, Dagoretti North, Mathare, and Embakasi Central. And so far, we have a reach of over 1,000 young women and young men and grassroots Chama women, and who indirectly have impacted more than 3,000 other people. And also online engagements are at 30,000 as of now. So, with those activities that we've been implementing on the field, there are some gaps that we are able to get to see in the field. And, one of them is the mis and malinformation that we have in the communities. As you said, someone like Jane can combine, people of 300 people. Na Jane lo akiamua that anaenda kudanganya wajamaa pale mtaani. They will wataamini Jane because Jane ndo ni ule mse anaongea nao politicians. Pia hawa si waongea na politicians. But Jane akiamua bazeni hii ndo ni information anaenda kusambaza pale mtaani. We will have massive spread of misinformation pale mtaani. And these are communities that are in the informal settlements. They are not, they are not technology survey, and they cannot even sort of go online and sort of confirm or verify this various information. So that is a gap that we have noticed in working in the field. And also, as Waga mentioned, there is a gap also in the constitutions. We have the constitutions, but it's just sitting beautifully in our shelves. So I think also that has been a gap that we have seen in the field. And also ways of sort of incorporating, this, especially Generation Z, to come to interact with these conversations. I saw somewhere the other day they're saying that, right now Generation Z are taking their life as a full-time job and any other activity that they're doing as a part-time job. So it's really critical that we get to have ways that we get to involve them in these conversations, because if, some other time they were saying that if we do not, tunaleta vitu wanaweza sort of interact. Now, if you do not, if you come there, you guys are not dancing. Wataangalia hivi dakika 10 and they go waende sherehe, waende wapige sherehe. So hata wenyewe walikuwa wanasema at some point we should consider kupeleke hii masomo kwa sherehe, and I think that is a gap that we have also noticed pale mtaani. So, and also I think even mostly with the meetings pale community, issues of women saying that they are not going to participate in electoral processes because mzee amekataa ama mzee amesema ukienda kupiga kura lazima upigie huyu mzee. Kama upigie huyu mzee utarudi kwa hiyo nyumba, ama juu ya siku ya elections unaenda nyumbani, unaenda ushago, and I mean sometimes you can understand where they're coming from, because most of the time the elections are marred with with violence, and there is tension around that. But when this woman says that she cannot be able to cast her vote because mzee amesema wewe upigi kura, you cannot way back kwa nyumba, it's really sad. And I think that is a gap that us as stakeholders in this space we can be able to work on and get to find synergies and work around it. So I think really that's it for me. I don't want to be the person to be between you and the food. So as it is right now, this is our tag for Nikuvote, and we are hoping that with partnerships and also synergies and also just learning from what most of you guys are also doing in the field, we can be able to adapt and sort of learn and also be able to do these activities and the whole process together. So I think from me that is it, and maybe Sonia, you can take it back. Excited. Sorry, let me eat into your time, Kidogo. Maybe before Sonia can take it back, there are some people who walked in while we had started this.
I meant rather do something that I also want it to be done to me, rather than hurting someone and giving myself a pride. That is one. And two, napenda kudishi hapa kuchapana yani. Yes. Ndio nashangaa. Nisaja tu najua. And then another thing unique about being a mother of one. baby girl Karina Tasham. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Boniface Monoma Harrison. I am a student at the Technical University of Kenya. I'm also a student leader there, currently serving as the Secretary General. And it's good to see the people that we were setting the page together again. Now talking about success of something that we planned at least near a year. Thank you very much. I'm a student of social work and community development. And something interesting about me is that I'm very passionate about my profession. I'm passionate about community. Something unique about me is that I am a stammerer. Sometimes people think I'm too loud on them. People think when I use gestures to push someone, they're not coming. They think that I'm yelling at them. Yet they don't know. I'm just trying to find a way in which I can fix words come out. Thank you very much.
Good evening once again. My name is Shampi Anna, as I said earlier. I am also a student at the Technical University of Kenya. I am a student leader there. As I mentioned, in my school's parliament, I am the speaker. And in the TUK, the kinds of things that I do or I involve myself with is that I'm very active in clubs. Every event that is there, we have to be there, help in planning, help in mobilization, just have a word or two, encourage the people there and to just make sure that everyone else is doing fine in school. I am also very passionate about environmental conservation. Mambo yote, going green, going blue, I am there. Things that interest me. I spend most of my time, what's interesting about me? What's unique about me? The first one is that I can play every ball game there is. Volleyball, basketball, football, tennis, any, all of them, very well. The second thing interesting about me, I'm a student of international relations and diplomacy. I speak several international languages. Any other thing unique about me? There are lots of things. I think as we interact, maybe tutaendelea kujuana zaidi. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
How are you? My name is Rukmini City. I'm a student at the University of Nairobi and a former student leader there. And I'm honestly honored and happy to be here. See, can I say that? One unique, I have like three. Two unique things about me. One, I love being honest with myself. Like clear to playing honest, no consolations. Maybe you did bad, you did bad. You did good, you did good. Then, second unique thing about me, in another life, I'll probably be an entertainer, you know? Thank you.
As a youth, I'm from Kenya Red Cross. I am the National Youth Manager. And I'm passionate about, one thing that people confuse about me is that people say that I actually do not support the women empowerment agenda. I'm actually accused of that so often. But then when they follow my actions and they follow the structures and the trail, they actually realize that I'm one of the champions. And my colleague Sidney is going to tell you that I actually have more women today in my department than there used to be before. The other thing that is unique about me is every time I tell people I don't come from any of the counties that are in the western Kenya, they don't believe me. I actually come from Isiolo County. So and then people tell me, why don't you look like someone from Isiolo? And the first thing I'll ask, I always tell them, look, how do people from Isiolo look like? And they're like, have you been from Isiolo? Like, no, I've never been to Isiolo. Okay, good. Then this is how they look like. But anyway, I'm so happy to be here. I really appreciate the work that is basically going on. And of course, sometimes we interact in the various other spaces, either with people that many of the organizations here have worked with, and they'll tell us the brilliant stories that you do given as Badili Africa. So sometimes we don't interact directly with you as Badili Africa, but we go to the field in the 47 counties where we have all our branches, and we find people who can tell us really good stuff that you are doing. So I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to further engagements. Thank you.
My name is Valerie Akinyi. I'm from Kayole. I'm an actress, a producer of Navili Arts Production. And I love God. I love dancing. And napenda watu.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Ontita. I'm the National Youth Livelihood and Economic Empowerment Program Lead at Kenya Red Cross Society, and it's great to actually be here. Apologies for us coming in late. Much has been said about what we do by Alex. One unique thing about me, I like doing activities like Konji.
Thank you. So the next session was actually supposed to be a panel session, but then I think we should tweak it a bit so that we all participate in it. So I'll just throw a question and then we can ask, or I can as well choose, depending on the organizations that I know are directly linked to the question. So the first one will be, what is the status of young women, millennials, and Generation Z engagement in political processes? What do we think? Do I pick randomly or?
I think just to add that Gen Z kids born from 2000, so the oldest Gen Z is 23 years, and then 24 to 35 are actually millennials.
I'll start with Siasa, please. Someone help me with the second microphone. Engagement in political processes.
Okay, so this is my opinion and observation. Politicians think of them as dancers, then they don't love themselves because otherwise, I will explain. They don't love themselves because they think they need to be in a small pigeonhole where they enjoy life, but they are too broke to enjoy life. And political parties think of them as voters and don't want them to be close to any political processes. So they are always used as voters. And if you can see what's happening currently in the country, our agenda is come out and vote. So the agenda is you come and vote, but what are you voting for? You don't know. So that is why, look at it. 80% of current members of parliament will not get back to parliament, and you're going to vote new ones, and the next election, if we don't do something about it, you're also going to do the 80%. There are a number of people, I think there's a survey that we did, that they were talking about a number of young people who are not going to vote, because otherwise they don't see the sense. And what happens, and they were also saying corruption is not an issue that matters to them, but there is joblessness. So as long as the political parties are thinking of you as voters, and you can only go and get your vote if you're given a t-shirt, you are given 200 shillings, or you are hired to be in a gang, then that is why I say you are not selfish enough. If you're selfish enough, you will start thinking about yourself. As I conclude, look at the political parties. Who leads political parties?
Men. Old men.
It's men, yes? I think you are diplomatic enough. You are very old, very old. And then, what is the next thing? Is they have always ensured that members of their families are in those political parties. They are members, registered members. And therefore, in the event that there is any chance for elimination, it only goes to their family members. But where are we as voters? So young women are only thought of, but this room is more of women, so they only think of women as people who can dance on tracks, and think of women as people who can twerk, and that is why I say we are not selfish enough. Finally, we have also done a service to this country where we only talk about politics in 2022, when election is in 2022, and people don't do political education so that people understand what is the role of a women rep. As Bina will probably tell you that when we had the discussion about the committee, the IBC Youth Committee, the discussion was about scrapping off the position of women rep, because otherwise people don't see the sense. So they think women are the problem. So those are some of the things that probably we need to start thinking about. And I've also seen a few donors in the room. Don't close shop after 2022. Support what I think what we all doing, like CESAFES is doing the same, but Badili is also doing, support the platform so that 2027 we have the young ladies who are currently mobilized and becoming leaders, because otherwise they understand what's happening.
So, Ken has brought up something. Youths are seen as numbers and not quality numbers. We are seen as votes and not. So, as tunakuja kama votes, but not what am I picking? Who am I picking? And why am I picking that person? So, what should we do to ensure that this, and Ken is really important enough to say donors don't close shop. Please open those shops. Open them wide. Because we need this conversation going on even after 2022. So that the next 3 years, 4 years, you see the way civic education is very loud right now. It's everywhere, on our faces. Kwa basi IBC. Next place, Kuraya. Let it be like that all through. So that you walk and hey, now what is wamezidi. But tumezidi because we are giving you the right information. I would like to pick Lillian. I said I'm picking because people are not raising their hands. So Lillian, what do you think? Because you're from the community, you can tell us the status of participation of young women specifically in political processes.
Hello. I don't want to castigate this guy, what he has said, but I will clarify some things.
Please do.
So the millennials, your sisi, Senekweli.
Yeah.
So this is the third time I'm going to vote 2022. So I know ni nani nitapigia kura. Senekweli. So generation Z ni haya. Senekweli. Wamechukua kura sahi. They have a lot of energy. Mwanasiasa akipita tuko. Mwanasiasa akilala tuko. Sindio? So na kuna wale wamechukua kura, wanatoka silent voters. They will vote or not vote because they don't see the importance of them voting. Maybe walisindikizwa na mzazi achukue kura, but mzazi hakumwambia the importance of kuchukua kura. So tuko na generational gap. Watu kama sisi, watu kama Naomi na wale madimwa yangu wamechukua kura. Tutafanya aje so that wenye wamechukua kura wasync na sisi wenye tunaenda kuvote for the third time. Because if we leave this generation Z, hatutapata the quality leaders that we are preaching back mashinani. Because they are voters, they will vote. Watavote kwa sababu ya swing votes,
mwanasiasa amemsindikiza, chama imempeleka, ama kuna beshte yake amemwombea. So for me, women tumetoka mbali. That's the reality. Si ni kweli? Tumepitia hiyo process ikafika mahali wanawake wengi wamejitokeza. Generation Z hawasimami political position. Si ni kweli? Because hawana do. Si ndio? Chama inawachenga kwa nomination. Sababu nominations za political parties, they are not fair for women. Unasimama usiku, certificates zinapeana, uko kwa hao, unanyonyesha mtoto. Asubuhi ikifika, unaambiwa certificate imechukuliwa. So we start from the political parties. Even civic education need to go to the political parties. Kwa sababu kama wewe ni mwanamke mnyanga, mimi nikisimama nikikatwa na political party, sinangojea 2027. So inamaanisha sauti yangu imeishia hapo katikati. So for me as young women, the reality is wengi walijitokeza. Let's clap for women 2022. Walijitokeza in election. I've never seen such young women wameingia kwa siasa. This is the only year ya election. Wanawake wengi wamesimama, wengi walipita, wengi political primaries ziliwaangusha, but kitu inanifurahisha walisimama. Sindio, in one way or the other way, walijipatia nguvu, moyo, wakasema tunaweza. Sindio? So for me naona tumetoka mbali. So the saddest reality ni hatuna pesa. Kwa wale walipita party primaries. Magwiji wako pale juu. So walipita hizi election. What, as a young woman, what do you think itafanyika kwa campaign? If you don't have money, hauna do ya branding, sindio? We start from there. Branding is very important as a politician. Kwa sababu usiuko na do, people need to know you. Hata kama ni demu wa ghetto, but kuna msichana kwa kujua Lilian ni nani, manifesto yangu ni gani, as much as they're kwa social media. Social media is not enough for mama mboga pale chini asome manifesto ya Lilian. But we need to invest more in women. So that's the reality. School organization mingi. Thank you for Badili Africa, but we have so many organizations. Please invest on young women. Tumejitokeza, hatuna resources, hatuna enough information bado. Na pia political parties tulikatwa chini kwa nomination, but ile time ya kunominate more women from political parties hatuongelei. How many women watachaguliwa watanominatiwa kwa political parties waende kwa bunge, either ni ya county ama ni ya national parliament? So that's food for thought. We need to go back as much as tuko na general election, but about nomination. Wasichana wangapi wayanga na nominatiwa kwa hizi spaces? We recycle the same old women, sorry to say. Sisi wayang tunabaki pale. So siku gani utakuwa nominated, you feel there is power for you guys for decision makers. If you're not in the table, definitely you're where? In the menu as a young woman. I beg to stop at that point.
Thank you. I'll request Maureen to pass the mic to Purity with her life, to share her contributions and participation of young women.
I agree with what my two colleagues have said, but there's this hype in Kenya right now ya kwamba wanawake wamekuwa kwa siasa, the deputy president. Do we know the power of the deputies? Do we?
Yes.
How many women deputy governors are visible in the space? We have seen the power of the DP, the current DP. Does he have the power? Food for thought. That as we are talking about women in politics, we don't want number two. Because there's no responsibility in constitution for number twos. Number one's no gonna power. That even as we're talking about gender balance in politics, we want women to have their power position. We want women to be the MPs, we want women to be the governors. And for this year, I am so excited that we might have 5 governors who are female. And I'm looking forward to that. Back to the question, the status number 1. I'm looking at youth are being considered as the political entertainers. We are the ones who go and work on those caravans. We are the ones who are coming up with the best dancing styles. that we want to show our prowess in dancing. But mwanasiasa atasema nini? Jitokeze unipigie kura. But mimi na pasni nje. The latest dance moves. Na hiyo ndio watu wanabaki nayo. So that is the place that, sad enough, that is the place that youth tumewekwa. We are also considered, right now, we are enjoying the political market days. A prolonged one. It's either a t-shirt. Nani hapa hivi ana t-shirt ya mwanasiasa? Are you serious? I have a couples for all the parties, plus kofia, niko nazo. But it's only that we have not implemented the PBO Act. I cannot have it on. Because my boss will be on my back. Purity of support in this organization. That today if I'm seen in blue and orange, if I'm seen in yellow and green, that even in terms of dressing, we've already been captured in politics. That you enter into a government office, the first thing they see, it is your dress code. What is wrong if today I feel like having green and yellow?
Nothing.
I'm just in my moods, right? It's been a while, and I want to be in it.
Yeah.
But because of the political capture, I cannot go to any government office because of my attire. So we have a prolonged political market days. It's either a cap, kama utapata 50 bob, utapata so. Na kama wewe mobilizer, utapata FAO na kuendelea. Another thing is that we are also the creatives. Which group is coming up with animations? In fact, Leonie ingine, it was so fun. I think it was from Siasa's Facebook page. Kuna mtu alikuwa anatapika. And it was so creative. Kuna mtu alikuwa anapuke. Na Kenya amepuke, ebu tangalieni nini alikuwa anapuke. I was like, this is a young person. That we are the people who today are doing the blogging. We are changing the narrative of people indirectly, not knowing the harm and the cause that you are passing across. That leo ule pastor mwenye amesema leo Kenya kwisha. Was it intentional? Amani drew the conversation that we've been passing across to become a slogan. Hadi nikifika hapo, instead of saying Kenya kwanza, Kenya kwisha. Oh gracious God, what have I done? You know, I watched it. Actually, I was like, I don't want to be in a place right now, studying over your place. But it shows that that woman has been active in politics. She is a diehard of politics. Na ndio hiyo conversation ndio imeponga komedi yake. Then lastly, I'll also talk about the women agenda in politics. Number one, we're actually flipping the scripts. That today is not about money. I tell people, if you're talking about political democracy, fair enough, go to Rift Valley. I can go there and I have democracy. That's so new to all. No money, nothing. But I the current women rep was crying and I said, I was like, what is this person attacking with Yamsekura? Only to know that here, she had nothing, but people believed in her. People believed in what she was passing across. That as youth, as much as you're saying that we need the spaces, we also need to upgrade on our agenda. What exactly do we tell people that give me the platform and opportunity and test my leadership, test my credibility, and prove it with time? That next time Nikirudi, you will not even question. And sad enough is that they say that we are breaking the ceiling. It is sad for me. We really don't have to break the ceiling. We really don't have to. It has to be smooth. Because the level ground is not fair for us. That is why we say that women are breaking ceiling. That today, if a woman is appointed as a CC, we are all clapping. Why are we clapping? It should be so easy. It should be like our culture. That it is so intentional to bring the balance. And I think we can actually lastly, when we talk about women in leadership, hatuongelei siasa peke yake. And this is what I tell people. Hatuongelei siasa peke yake. There's a lot of things in politics that you can do. That leo Kozbina anajulikana, Maureen anajulikana, inakuwa nyinyi msimame kwa siasa. They really don't have to be in active politics. You can be the brains behind things that are changing. And my clarion call today is that youth, look at what is happening to our economy. In a refinery in Afungwa, how many youth are being released to the environment? And it is one. The Ukraine battle inaendelea. How many more companies are you waiting? This is our country. There is no better country than Kenya. I want to be proud of my country, even in 10 years or 20 years to come. And this is my career, and this is what I say to myself. I will talk about the goodness of Kenya and the potential we have, because this is our solemn call to make Kenya better. And we can do it. We are the majority, and we have the numbers. Thank you.
To ensure that the participation of young women is increased and even made more. Just as Deborah was speaking, she said that the young people are the ones who are bloggers. And to go for Numa, because we do not believe in ourselves, such that nikipewa hiyo job naweza work. Say what? Naweza change. I can change and make sure that the narrative I put there is actually going to change people's lives and help them make better decisions. So what do you think we as partners, as people who are working to ensure that we increase voter turnout and better decisions during that time should do? Yes. Yes, the strategies, interventions we can come up with. Good. You're not talking. Youth agenda. Oh? Oh. Sorry. Youth agenda, I'm coming back.
Well, before I make my remark, allow me to first welcome our chairman, the YCC chair. John Buda has just joined us. He is the chairman of the IBC Youth Coordinating Committee. Well, I believe first, as one of my colleagues there said, that we need to take this beyond the elections. That is the biggest issue that we have, is that when we talk about elections and inclusion of SIG, special interest groups, it is usually around the election time. And most often we miss on the target. The real goal is to ensure that these people do understand this process. Even if you are still for them to participate and be engaged, they don't understand what they're taking part in. So first, we need first to have them understand what they're going to be engaged in, what they're taking part in. By this I mean elections and politics are brother and sister. They come from the same way, right? And for young people in particular, there is a particular disengagement, and someone noted the lack of funds. If we can come together and look at the issues that are affecting us as a common block. I see today for the first time somewhere we are joining as players in the youth affairs sector to discuss things that do really affect us. We all know the kind of politics that is in the youth space, right? This one wants to be seen more than this one. We don't want to come from a common front and address the issues that we have. One, we have candidates, they don't have money. That's a reality. Young people don't have money. Can we create a forum in which we have a robust fundraising avenue for these particular people, because they need our help, right? Posting them on our status, blogging for them is not enough. That's something little we can do. But we need to get on ground and fight this battle with them. We need to put our boots on the battlefield with them. What are the problems they're facing? They go to political parties, wanapiga kipindi, smart. Wanaonekana, wako pale mbele, sio? Wanapigania chama, but siku ya nominations, kayeyo, sio? Kasabuni kadogo. Why is that? It's because even if that is done to them, nobody will speak up, right? Nobody is supporting them. Even the political parties are aware that hana impact. Yes, this person has potential. We have numbers, but we have the will. That's the biggest question. We have the will to make things happen. We have the will to have change, and in particular transformational change come to our societies. I appreciate what Padiri Africa is doing because we are going out there to those people, and it gives us a challenge. Even after the 2022 general election, let us take this to the next level. Let us ensure that in our own individual capacities, in whatever avenues we practice our professions, let us go to 47 counties, to every available street and speak to young people. Si kupiga tu gumzo na kupiga selfie ama kusukuma hashtag. Let us ensure that they understand the electoral process and the political space improved. That's why someone noted that we ask questions to the wrong people. I think one of the tasks that Badini gave me was to demystify the commission and to make people understand, young people in particular, understand the electoral process. I think I did that to the best of my ability. So that when you're asking questions, let us ask the right questions to the right people. And I think young people in this generation don't have that information. It's upon us, ladies and gentlemen, to take that information to them. That is, I think, among the avenues that we can use.
Agenda takes the mic, and pose a question to our governance consultant. What do you think we should do to package our message to attract this specific group we are targeting?
Here we take away unawares. What shall we try? For me, the rule of thumb is awareness that everything is political. The water we drink is very political. Mathare getting kipindupindu is political, very political. The dress I wear is very political. The salary I earn or do not earn is super political. So just creating a connection to politics and the lives we live, the air we breathe. Why COVID will kill some people and not others is super political. So for me, it is just being able to connect the day-to-day lives and politics. And the one thing I hate the most is when these people tell us, siasa tuachieni sisi. Kwa nini hao? Siasa ni yetu sisi wote, because everything I do in my life is so political. And a lot of times, kwa sababu ya vile tumebrainwashiwa, we celebrate them when they tell us that. Of course, they are very bad in politicking, so that it becomes a negative thing. And then the other thing I hate the most, or the second most, is this thing they tell us, siasa ni chafu. Siasa must not be chafu. Did you see these people in the UK, this minister in the UK, who was found out, so UK during COVID had lockdown, and what else? Lockdown and zile tu vitu zote tulikuwa nazo na curfew. So, and their lockdowns were really bad. They weren't anything close to what we experienced here. And so there's this guy in a group of people who was found out partying against the protocols that have been put the COVID. What did that guy do? Kama tunajua. The guy resigned. In this country, when you've done the worst thing on this planet to humanity, the first thing we do is celebrate you. The second thing we do is protect you and say mtu wetu anavamiwa, anapigwa. The next thing we do is ice the cake ni kuelect. Okay? And sometimes I feel very bad about IBC. I'm glad you're here and I can vent because I feel like venting. I listened to someone civic something position like a month ago wa IBC telling us that Wakenya ndio wabaya, kwa nini tunachagua watu? Number one, we are disenfranchised completely. Number two, we are so busy struggling to live to be able to start vetting. Why does IBC, inaitangwa ndio word, hiyo kuapprove, inaitwa clear. Someone who clearly does not meet the threshold as per Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, number one. Number two, if we know very well that someone has a case in court, kwa nini tunamwaprove alafu na tuachie ubadeni ya kusema Kenyans ndio wabaya? We are busy with very many things. We are single mothers, tuko na watoto wa kulea. We do not even, we are homeless. We tulipomolewa nyumba the other day in Kikangere, in Mukuru, in Korogosho, in Ugo, sewage, Kalubangi. We are struggling with many things. We've been raped. We are struggling with sexual violence na hizo vitu zote. We do not even have extra energy ya kwanza sasa sisi ndio tunavent. And that's why the Constitution put in a constitutional mechanism to do this kind of vetting and stuff. So for me, I would say three things. Number one, tuelewe wajanja. Let's be educated. And education doesn't have to get you, to have gone to school. Of course, uweze soma katika lazima tu umesoma.
Clearly justice when the elephant steps on the mouse's tail. But honestly speaking, as an individual and as a young person in this country, and I might say that I'm not very vocal in terms of directly the work that I do to support young people to engage in political spaces, but I take a very different approach in terms of what I do and be able to champion for young people to do that. For me, I believe in empowering communities, and I believe in giving the communities the voice. Sometimes one of the major mistakes I've seen is that we go to a community and we want to change. We are talking about, I know, we work with communities, say within Nairobi, and we are in Mukuru, and we go there and get these young people who already have their own ways of life and how they do things, and unfortunately, instead of giving them capacity to be able to continue doing what they are doing, we speak for them. We start appearing as if we represent them, and yet it can only be them who knows what they're the ones who know what actually ails them. They're the ones who knows where it pinches the most. So one of the things I think we need to really start looking at, and I'm really glad that we are actually in this space today, is giving ourselves the space to be able to build enough capacities. And poleni kwa kusema hivi, saa zingine unajua tunakaa huko nje tunaangalia na tunaona kweli vijana kweli wanafanya kazi nzuri, lakini shida inakuwa pale kidogo unapoona saa zingine tunafanya kazi, the recognition inaingia kwa kijana kidogo, anasahau I actually got a call to serve people and champion the interests of my community. For instance, if you're a student leader, ulipata ile call kwa manake ulikuwa ndani unataka kufanya kazi, lakini tomorrow you get recognition, kesho kwa pale, then suddenly now you no longer speak for the people, you speak for yourself. Wacha tu niseme sasa zingine pia lazima tuongee kwa sababu unaacha kuzungumzia vijana, unaanza kujizungumzia. And the politicians know this. What they actually do then is that they know how selfish and how sometimes we can be really distracted. So a very young leader who was very promising and has the potential of changing this country, and where every person is seeing that hapa huyu ni kijana ambaye sisi pia kama vijana tutamsupport, anaitwa boardroom, kesho anarudi na timu nyingine, anarudi sasa akiwa amevaa zile kanda zingine. Lastly, one of the other things I wanted to mention, and I was speaking as people were speaking, could we use media, and I know we all have partners and people we know in the media, to actually communicate and share the correct things that inspires leadership among young people. We cannot always be celebrating the things that honestly we know do not have an impact in our lives or transition tomorrow. Very stupid things are happening in this country, and that is what we capture. And even the mainstream media has now gone to become, they also follow what we follow. So somebody captured a fist fight somewhere between two politicians, and we suddenly stop the critical agenda, the fact that healthcare in this country is in a mess, education is in a mess, poverty is increasing, people are so busy, like one of the colleagues here was saying, we are so busy trying to get a life, And nobody's even trying to follow the journey of that person. How somebody wakes up in Mathare to take care of 2-3 kids and be able to ensure that they eat and follow that journey. So the mainstream media is just going to talk about really some things that, honestly speaking, and we are the ones who are encouraging it. Why? They are picking them from our own social media handles. We are sharing these things. You know, one of the things I came to realize, and I had somebody say, and it was a discussion between teachers, how they treat teachers in the US and how they treat celebrities, sportsmen, and women in the US. And they say the reason why teachers are not well recognized and celebrated as a sportsmen and women is because the media's attention has gone there. So that is what is being celebrated. So when somebody breaks a record, really good. You break a record, say you're a sprinter, that's good. But there's a teacher who's been impacting lives, hundreds and hundreds of students, and nobody actually picks that and celebrates it. So in the Kenyan space, let's talk to these friends in media. Let them focus on these brilliant people. Young people who are doing amazing stuff. Sauti kama akina Vivi pale akitoka Kayole. Why can't we see more of that as compared to kesho mtu ameamka, they see some really nasty stuff, politicians on that. Now they know nowadays. If you say something, you know, the Kenya Kwisha discussion started with one person from this other side. And then mwingine akasema ule mwingine anazimia. So they know when they say that, that's what media picks. But the likes of Kina Toto only came to the limelight because certain people started celebrating her. It was actually people who started, not the media did not discover Toto. It was actually certain specific people who discovered Toto. So when we, in the spaces, the little spaces where we are in, ukiona kijana anafanya kazi nzuri, kuna mama anafanya kazi nzuri, kuna mtu anafanya kazi nzuri, wewe anza kucelebrate huyo. Usingoje kushare meme, usingoje kushare spinning. We are very serious people. The mistake we are making ni tukwenda kuambia vijana, by the way, I'm one of the people who advocates for speaking in a language that children understands. But in the same time, let us not run the risk of making them deviate. Kwa nini? Tutazungumzia vijana, tutaeleza kwamba saizi nasikia kuna kulombo tunafanya nini? And now we want to go and change our programming and go to community and start telling them how they can influence policy at the local na kushebeteng. And then tomorrow, the actual people who are supposed to come and look at where do we put the water pipes in this community, they have a public participation, and asema kama unaninao, honestly speaking, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying when we interact as young people, it's a language to enjoy. But what we need to do is, let us go and let's start. Unajua mtoto ukitaka kumwongelesha akisema tata unasema tata, akikuita papa unasema papa, until the day you come and start learning to call him mom, mother, baba, and then akikuita papa akiwa 18 years like we mimi si papa, for example. So tuendelee tushike vijana mkono, tutaanza na kushebeteng. Then as we come and start looking at where those decisions are being made, as we start getting there, we build capacity, instill the right skills, support them, that wakienda pale juu, they will remember where they came from. So we are not saying it's wrong. Mimi pia na bonga sheng, by the way. Naongea vizuri sana na niko mtaani, mimi pia nitaongea. But nasema, wakiniita mahali, where we know all of us in these rooms have been in those spaces, do they speak that language? When we have influenced policies, most of us here, we worked in the Nairobi Youth Policy. Tulieka kwa sheng. Hatungeka kwa sheng. In fact, we were beating our heads around the bush. How do we phrase this in a policy language? Simlikuwa pale. Policy language zote walikuwa for. Lakini sasa tunataka kuambia vijana ati sasa sisi, no, seriously. Let's just be honest with ourselves, give the right skills to the young people, and tomorrow we'll celebrate the capacities of the young people we'll build in this country. And we'll see them. When I see my brother, my kiongozi hapa kutoka TUK, Secretary General, I was telling you I was there, and back then the type of leadership that we had, I'm sorry to say so, I will not say the years, so that you don't know who, but it required hooliganism. And by the way, you will not get a leader speak as eloquent as he has spoke today, but I'm very proud of you and I've told him that. That is a clap for because the right people like Badili Africa are holding their hands, Uraia are holding their hands, and they are taken through trainings and programs that make them see, by the way, when kiongozi kijana lakini, policy inazungumziwa hivi. Kwa hivyo kama shida ni kubadilisha maneno kwa ground, hapa ndio mahali inafanyika, and that's how they speak. So when you speak once, you speak twice, you speak thrice, they will approach you differently. They not give you 50 shillings. You can't give this young man 50 shillings because maybe in that school. You will really struggle to deviate this young man because you may be shikilia. And that is my contribution.
Which
I understand what you mean, but like at some extent, you have to agree with me. You won't go communicating to youth in a language they are not conversant with. That's why there's something you said, and I don't know, I just took it in a way, I didn't get it well. The Sheng or Shemiteng or that kind of a language whereby youth, kuna mtu mwenye ako hapo kwa ground, mwenye labda vile umesema hajui hizi policy vile zinaenda, si ndio? So you saying that us focusing on a language ama in a way yenye tunapeana information, ama sijui mimi ndio sijaelewa vizuri ama, because I'm trying to figure out a language yenye English sana ikiwa incorporated sana, and a youth like me, I want it to be in a way. That's why like strategy yenye we also put policies in Kiswahili in a language yenye youth wataweza kuwa wanaelewa. That's, I feel like you should also like refrain on saying it's stupid or something. Yeah.
I think for you know sometimes
1 minute.
1 minute. Yeah, I don't want to be misquoted. Napozungumzia kusema kwamba tuzungumze na vijana ili hizi pesa zingeweza kujiwakilisha vizuri. So just about the language sometimes. My point is there is absolutely no problem when sisi vijana tunaongea. In fact, kama kuna kitu fiti ilishaifanyikia nchi ni Sheng na vijana kujua na language yao. That is the most beautiful thing that ever happened. What I'm trying to say is, what you have come to realize, and most of these people who are in this room have come to realize, is that tukienda kwa ground tukiongea na vijana, ukienda na hii kizungumiki ya policy, obviously you will disconnect. Utaweza kuzungumzia kijana. So what did I say? That's why I was giving example. For example, kama unapozungumza na mtoto, tutaenda ndio tutaweza kuongea na vijana. Na tuambia, look, the problem in this, what we have in this society is kwamba hapa hatuna maji safi. And we know who's supposed to be providing water. There is money allocated, there are people who are responsible for that. So tutaenda tuangalia, check hapo hivi mazia tunawapa. Ni kweli lakini ule msi yako pale, umse anafaa kushughulikia kwa kisha kwamba umefika mtaa, si ndio? So that is the first point of contact. But I don't have a problem with that. What I'm saying is, when we start working with these people, that's why it takes patience to be able to transform a society. Tutaanza kuzungumza in a way that tukimjenga, kama kesho tutaenda kukutana na ule MCA na tukutana na ule wale viongozi, even some of the donors who are in this room, you will actually realize that ukienda kumwambia yeye utaenda kuongea kuhusu mwanga, sometimes tutakuwa sana disconnect yake na ule mtu ambaye anaweza msaidia. So what we're saying is, build these skills together. Unapenda kuongea, kupata information ile wewe unaelewa, pia mtransform pia kesho, si lazima wewe umzungumzie pale. Unamjenga pia iweze kuzungumza pale. That's what I mean. But I love Sheng. Personally, I love Sheng. Yeah. And I'm sorry kama imetokea vibaya.
Thank you. I would like to invite Mufasa again to do a piece for us. And as he comes, there was an attendance list, a sign-up sheet. I don't know who hasn't signed. Is there anyone who hasn't signed?
Chanzo natumia religion na church calling people over. People in those positions of leadership in churches on a Bible, and then they start telling us like, this is the right person, God has chosen this person. And I always ask myself, if God chooses our leaders, then voting day is a day that should be renamed. I mean, we could call it God's Day, or call it another Sunday, or call it His Son's Day. If God chooses our leaders, then heaven is scared. And milk and honey should not make us forget what happened to the children who died. If God chooses our leaders, then blame Him for the bullet that could knock me spirit from a pinto. Blame Him for the future that died when He died Tomboya. If God chooses our leaders, then on Judgment Day, even God Himself has a case to answer for Masikeno and Sharon Otieno. If God chooses our leaders, Now, I don't know where Mount Sinai is, but we need to send someone there to edit the 10 Commandments, because do not steal. And this government that he chose, please. If God chooses our leaders, then God does not love us. The Son is a better lover. If God chooses our leaders, then all these roads without sidewalks, it's just God's engineering. If God chooses our leaders, then don't tell me not to worry about tomorrow. I'm not a body this bad. If God chooses our leaders, I don't think he forgave us. He's still mad. But if we are the ones who choose our leaders, we are the ones who choose our leaders, then blame yourself for everything.
I will go and kneel down and pray, God please help me. But alinipea a chance, na sikuenda kuitumia. So let's pass that message going in the circles that we are in. Let's ensure, even our family, personally I have family members who are like, mimi, hata kama unafanya story elections, mimi I'm not there. Ni wewe tunakuombea. Lakini mimi siko. And every day it's a conversation, you struggle. Because even me, I have my own struggles. We all have, Naomi was saying, yeah, nataka kuvent. We all have those questions. Itaweza. This and this will work. But at the end of the day, let's just believe that my one vote will count. I have done my part. If they waste it, that's on them. But me niliamka nikaenda kupea the person mwenye najua is right, they vote. Sawa sawa. So as we end, I want to say thank you to all of you for blessing us with your presence. Thank you for taking your time to the word is overdue. to overgo past the time we were supposed to end. But it was a nice engagement. We have learned a lot, and we have left this place better people with better messaging, so that we know the areas we can improve on in our projects. So let's not end this discussion here. Let's have more and more of this. Let's partner in areas we can. Red Cross, I don't know how we can get in, but we will talk about it. In Jesus' name. Amen. God. Cynthia from Red Cross. Miss Kia, amesema. So Miss Bina, we are probably going to partner with Red Cross. Ameitika, so let's follow him now. For the rest of us, thank you. First, thank you for your presence. Thank you for gracing us. We know you would have been somewhere else, but you chose to be here and listen to this. So passing that to the artists. We have other artists here. You can call them. No, our market. These are our young girls. And they do great work. They have a called Nawiri Arts Production. Yeah. We have They Took, thank you. UON, thank you. JQuat and KU could not make it, but I thank God they had representatives. For the community, thank you, Jane. Stakeholders, asanteni sana. Poleni kwa kuwakaisha, lakini asante. Bina, would you want to say something?
Thank you so much, guys. Yani Domingo, wenye pia mnataka kubaki hapa, wenye pia tunaweza afford kulala hapa pia. So thank you so much. Asante sana.
So thank you, Bina. Allow me to end it with a prayer.